Ahoy there, chummers, and welcome to The Sixth World, the show where we wade through a river of dreck to get at the chip truth of the Shadowrun universe. My name's Happy, and on today's episode, we're going to answer the question, what exactly are metahumans? The latter half of 2011 will go down as the single strangest time in all of human history. The established natural order would be completely shattered as the forces of magic came roaring back into the world with a vengeance. Cities and rural towns would be upended as ancient forests regrew at an astonishing rate, standing stones and ancient monuments would explode from the ground along ley lines and sites of power, dragons and other strange and fantastic creatures would march straight out of the pages of human myths and legends and into the real world. Now, the return of magic was something that no one saw coming, but we should have. After all, Mother Nature had sent us the tiniest of clues as to what was coming earlier that year. The first half of 2011 would see a most unusual phenomenon when maternity wards all over the world began reporting babies being born to human mothers that looked just a little bit different. Some of these babies would be very slender with pointed ears, while others would be stockier than usual with broad features. Most of these babies would be perfectly healthy, despite the fact that they looked like something out of a Tolkien novel or a fantasy sim. Doctors and scientists naturally had no clue what the hell was going on, and attached an appropriately scientific name to this phenomenon: unexplained genetic expression. These children would be known as UGE babies until March 2011, when Newsweek would pen an article dubbing UGE babies elves and dwarves. The name stuck, and the rest, as they say, is history. The return of magic had given the world its first metahumans, and the reaction was decidedly mixed. Many parents were simply overjoyed to have a happy, bouncing baby, even if he did look like something that should be escorting a certain ring-carrying hobbit to Mordor. Others were not so enthusiastic. Adoption would be the best case for some of these unwanted elves and dwarves, and I'll leave it to you to figure out what the worst case would have been. Unfortunately, these kids would come to feel the sting of humanity's prejudice and fear in the coming years, but that's a story for another video. The forces of magic weren't done screwing with humanity's gene pool, however. Unexplained genetic expression was shocking as hell, but it was nothing compared to the sheer, mind-numbing terror that would rear its ugly head 10 years later. On April 30th, 2021, the world watched in horror as fully 1 in 10 adults were, without warning, transformed into what many considered to be the stuff of nightmares. Men and women across the world would be left writhing in agony as horns sprouted from heads, skin hardened, and bones broke and reknitted themselves into new shapes. There aren't words to describe the pain and terror these poor fraggers experienced. Many did not survive this change, and many more would not survive with their sanity intact. Those that did live through the transformation would have the quote-unquote honor of being the first of Earth's newest metahumans. Hospitals would be stretched to the breaking point and beyond, attempting to care for these new metahumans, while doctors frantically tried to figure out just what the frag was going on. An increasingly panicked populace demanded answers. The fact that this affliction didn't seem to be picky only added to the terror. Young and old, rich and poor, hell, sometimes even entire groups would be struck down. The possibility of some kind of bioweapon or magical plague was a real fear, and many countries would see entire families rounded up and herded into hastily constructed quarantine camps. Genocide and chaos would become the order of the day in other parts of the world, and unfortunately, the changed would bear the brunt of the carnage. Increasingly, it became clear that this transformative process was the result of another one of magic's growing pains. The media once again helpfully stepped in to attach a name to humanity's latest boogeyman, and the change became known as goblinization. The poor souls left scarred and tortured by goblinization would become known as orcs and trolls. These new metahumans would be beaten, kicked, and spat upon over the next few years, many times by those they would call friends or family. The anger and fear of normal humans would finally explode with the Night of Rage in 2039, an event that deserves the full treatment of its own video. So stay tuned. So what are metahumans then? Elves and orcs, dwarves and trolls, but also you and me. After all, these new races are just as human as anyone, regardless of their appearance. We all bleed red, chummer, and it's a shame that so many people have forgotten that. And that's the chip truth, chummers. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more Shadowrun content. Hit that notification bell so you will always know when I upload a brand new Shadowrun video, and until next time, remember to shoot straight and never, ever deal with a dragon.